Welcome back to another episode of VT Sports. I'm Danny Cannell alongside my guy Chris Mano. Another fun, action-packed episode for you guys. So much we have to get to. A lot of drama unfolding in the NFL. We've already had a head coach fired. We've got another one in his first year, maybe on the hot seat. The Chiefs find a win. Oh, man, so much to get to. We got Major League Baseball playoffs in full swing right now. Unfortunately, our team, the New York Yankees, no longer a part of it. NBA season's getting kicked off. A lot to get to. We'll get to throughout the show. Before we do anything else, let me check in with my guy, Chris Mano. How we doing?
Excellent, my man. I've been waiting all week for this. This is my therapy session. We're going to call this the therapy session for me this week.
That's
I'm excited.
I'm a little bit getting back off the mend a little bit. I had a cold this past weekend. I was hurting a little bit. I actually had to go home from work early on Saturday.
Okay.
Was in bed for a lot of the day. But you know what I'm tired of being accused of having? Like, it's not an official doctor's diagnosis.
Okay.
But my wife and my 3 daughters tell me I have a man cold.
What's a man cold?
Oh, you haven't heard of a man cold? See, this is wrong.
They're saying you're load managing?
Oh, they're just accusing me of being soft, of hamming it up, like I have to toughen it out. Meanwhile, if one of my daughters gets a sniffle, it's, oh, baby, what can I get for you? You want some tea? Like, what more can I get for you? I get a cold, and it's like, oh, he's got a man cold. Look, he's going to be crying in there. Don't talk to dad. Just leave him alone. He's sick. And they say I complain too much.
Apparently, we're bad patients. Like, I hear us men are bad patients.
I don't know. I think I have bad nurses around the household. But if I hear a man cold one more time, I'm going to cut the faucets off or something.
Right,
say, hey, who's paying all these bills at the house?
Sure,
I feel like if you have a man cold, you're just getting like great treatment from your supporting staff, you know?
I think you need like a man fever before you start getting treatment.
That is right.
I don't think they care too much about our colds.
That is right. I did not. I missed a lot of college football. I did get to lay in bed and watch a lot of the NFL games that were unfolding this past weekend. But there was a massive game between the Chiefs and the Lions. Chiefs had a lot at stake in that one. The Lions, one of the best teams in the NFC. Chiefs have been underwhelming so far this season. They get the win. And instead of talking much about the win, which was impressive, it was the aftermath where you had a melee that you don't really see in the NFL that much, where you had Brian Branch, Detroit Lions player, goes after Juju Smith-Schuster, catches him, pretty cold. Here's a little bit look after it. I mean, first of all, you saw Patrick Mahomes trying to give handshakes, just ignored, and then Branch just goes up.
That's a nice shot, too.
Oh, yeah, it was a real good one with the helmet on, too. And then, of course, Juju's got to come back and protect his manhood, right?
Respect.
He's got to show that. Helmets come off, which is when things get dicey. Ultimately, everybody gets away pretty unscathed. Juju had a little blood on him. He had a little bit bloodied up.
A man blood.
Yeah,
a little
man blood.
nose.
Yeah, it wasn't that bad. This picture's great, though, because it looks like he's got Juju by the hair. Juju is kind of an instigator in everything. Like, he's the TikTok superstar. I think a lot of players look at him. They think he's a little bit soft. There was a cheap shot in the game, which really did spark this. And Brian Branch talked about this, where you had a crackback block. He's coming down. He's got the end man on the line of scrimmage, comes inside the box, knocks him. I mean, it was a good, clean hit, but you didn't see the Detroit Lions player, didn't see him coming, knocked him pretty. I mean, it was a good hit. And apparently that's what sparked this whole thing.
Yeah, I heard the same. I saw the play.
Yeah. You thought it was legal?
Well, his head was on the front side, I think.
Right.
And he never got him in the numbers, and the refs didn't call it. And that's another story. I don't want to even start that, open that Pandora's box about the refs calling anything. But yeah, I mean, it looked like a clean shot to me. I've done it a bunch of times. I've been hit like that a bunch of times. So it's like,
I worry this is the new NFL, though, where you're just not allowed to do anything that looks violent. It's a violent sport, but we're legislating a lot of the more violent hits out of it.
Right.
And now players are trying to police that themselves, saying, hey, if the refs didn't get it, I'm going to do it. Because like you, there have been receivers have taught to hit the way that Juju Smith-Schuster did that. When you're talking, crackback block, whatever you want to call it, when he comes inside the box to take somebody out, that's usually the way it works, especially if they don't see you coming. It was a perfect setup.
Yeah, inside to out is the one that they're starting to call more, but I guess in that instance, they haven't really changed that rule. I know on like special teams it's like that. For defense, sometimes it's like that, but you can, I guess that one's still good. That's one I'm telling you, that's the one you've been taught. That's like a dream block for like a slot receiver, especially if you're coming down in motion. And Juju, as soft as they want to portray him to be, that's a big dude. He's like 6'2", 220. He's a big dude. And he's played hard. I mean, do you remember he lit up Vontaze Burfict?
Yep.
Like a bunch of years ago.
Vontaze was nasty too. That was one of the nastier players in the league.
Dude. He came up with the Steelers. You kind of got to be tough right there, right?
No, not at all.
To come up with the Steelers, no.
Yeah, no, absolutely. He was a dirty player too. Let me get back to that Dan Campbell quick. The clip of the Dan Campbell, because he was after the game, was talking about the hit, talking about the melee, talking about his player. So let's hear a little listen from the Lions head coach.
And it's not going to be accepted here. It's not what we do. It's not what we're about. I apologize to Coach Reed and the Chiefs and and Schuster. That's not okay. That's not what we do here, and it's not going to be okay. He knows it. Our team knows it, and so that's not what we do.
It's not too surprising. I'm pretty, no one wants to see a post-game melee like that, where you've got players potentially injured. Let's hear from Andy Reid, because I want to hear what the head coach of the Chiefs had to say.
Yeah, well, you guys saw it. I mean, it was, the guy came up and hit Juju for what looked like no reason. I mean, we're taking a knee, so that's tough. I mean, put pretty good damage on Juju's nose.
Yeah. He did. That pop was pretty good, especially with the helmet on.
I couldn't tell
if the face
if it was,
mask hit him.
I was trying to gauge if it was that shot, which it could have been, or it was when the helmet came off with the picture. I couldn't tell which one, but yeah, I mean that's how it is. I like how Dan Campbell handled it, man. What else would you expect from him? Stand up, dude. Brian Branch. That's the third time Brian Branch has been fined for like cheap stuff 3 times already. So I think he was already on somebody's radar, and you go do that. He got a 1-game suspension for that. That's a big deal over there. So.
Oh, absolutely. That's a game check. That will hurt Brian Branch for sure. My thing, I've never understood why guys want to fight after the game. You had 60 minutes to fight. I mean, it's the only place you can go, like other than UFC or boxing, where you can literally fight on the field every single play. Like you've got an opportunity to get into a fight. Unless you're a quarterback or a kicker or a punter or something like that, you've got an opportunity to take your frustration out on the field. That's when you should show the fight, not after the game when it does look like a cheap shot and you're just venting your frustration and losing your control, which as a player, that's what you cannot have, is a player who's unreliable and can't keep their emotions in check, because at some point, the Lions are a really good team. They could find themselves in a playoff situation, and even if it's not a fight after the game, what if it's a 15-yard penalty that gives the other team an automatic first down, or whatever the case is? You've got to be more reliable, and it's a professional. You've got to keep your emotions in check.
And if you're a guy who finds yourself on that radar, we see it a lot with Draymond Green in basketball. If you're somebody that's even kind of like that, like toes that line a little bit, you make a suspect play in week 15 or 16, you could get suspended for game 1 of the playoffs, and that ends up being a huge thing. Now, I have a quote that I love, and it sort of applies here, but I like to say, show me a good loser, and I'll show you a loser. So I totally understand getting pissed off after I lose a game, but you're absolutely right. You got to keep those emotions in check, man, because that there hurts the team. And every game in such a short season, it's not baseball where you get suspended for 2 or 3 and you got 159 more.
And trust me, I can't stand when I see guys at the handshake line and they're like trading jerseys and taking photos and making plans for maybe that night. We see that a lot of times in the NBA. It is creeping into the NFL too. I can't stand that. So I'd probably rather lean towards the guy showing a little bit of fight after. But where you have to channel that emotion is into the preparation for the next week, making sure you don't let it happen again, and kind of channeling it on the field where you actually can get something done. All right, on to the next. You got something?
Well, there was a game, wasn't there?
Oh, yes.
There was a football game, too.
Yeah, I told you. It was a secondary story where the Chiefs did win. So we'll give you a moment, because the Chiefs have been underwhelming all season, and they got a must-needed win.
Well, that's what's driving me crazy, is that the Chiefs, I mean, their underwhelming is 500, and you're 100% right. And Mahomes, again, hasn't been with his complement of weapons yet, and he's starting to look really good. He's leading the whole league in total touchdowns now, 15. So he's going to do that. He gets Rashee Rice back next week. So that's a big... Guys, first of all, can I just stop for a second and do a little aside to Chiefs Nation, Chiefs Kingdom, and to the players, guys? I saw this on Twitter this morning, and it makes a ton of sense, guys. We are doing this whole free Rashee thing, free 4. Guys, I'm as pumped as you are to have Rashee Rice back this week. I think he's a #1 receiver. But let's not pretend like this guy got hurt and he's coming back off a injury and we got to celebrate him, because there's clips out of hype training videos and they're wearing shirts. Like, guys, he did something bad. He was reprimanded for doing something stupid. So let's not. I'm pumped. I'm glad he's coming back. I'm excited. But let's chill with the free 4 thing. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So Rashee Rice is back this week. And just got to make note, Patrick Mahomes, Looks like he's rounding back into MVP form. I know he set the bar so insanely high his first couple of years that now 11 touchdowns and 2 picks, and people are saying he's having a down year. Well, he's the fastest quarterback in NFL history, games-wise, to 300 touchdowns. Right? He had 139 games. It took Aaron Rodgers 147. He passed him this week, so shout out to Patrick. And that's it. I mean, next week we get back to that full complement of weapons, and I can't wait to see
your point on Rashee Rice coming back. He's the one, the return and all this. I would just probably be keeping a lower profile.
If that was the reason I was out, like if he got hurt and it was a major comeback, we get pumped about it, and I'm pumped about it. But I mean, you can't wear shirts pregame like Free Rashee, who was driving 130, got in an accident and fled
almost
the scene.
Killed somebody.
Come on, guys,
you cannot have that happen out there at all. The Chiefs, I'm trying to look this up. They still are. This is pretty impressive. At 3-3.
I'm saying.
They are the second in the odds for the Super Bowl champion. It's the Bills, who I want to discuss here in a minute because they've dropped 2 in a row, and the Chiefs at 3-3. This to me, I think is this to me is a sucker's bet. I think this is all about the brands and the history that we've seen from them because you know how I feel about the Chiefs this season. The Bills are getting more concerning here, so I think you are throwing good money away if you back either the Chiefs or the Bills right here. I don't think you've seen enough. Now I think everything is wide open. So and I like the Ravens are toast. They're done. Like I've written them off for the entire season. I still think the Chiefs will probably make the playoffs now, which is a much better place than they were a couple weeks ago when we were talking about them. But I still think this thing is wide open, and this is way too much deference to it's Andy Reid, it's Patrick Mahomes, it's Travis Kelce, and I don't think they're the same team that has been rattling off Super Bowls and Super Bowl appearances.
See, and I think the fact that they still have those 3 carry a ton of weight. I think when the playoffs come around, being able to be a team that can lean on guys like that is vital. Like, I don't know that you believe that Daniel Jones or Trevor Lawrence are going to beat one of them in the playoffs if they see him. Like, who do you think is going to make that deep? I don't trust Trevor Lawrence,
but I might trust Daniel Jones.
Okay.
I might trust that team.
Okay.
And then there's also another team in the NFC that I am really starting to like that I want to get to in a little bit. But since we are talking about the top 2 teams as far as the odds makers, the Buffalo Bills still the Super Bowl favorite despite dropping 2 games in a row, including their last one on Monday Night Football to the Atlanta Falcons, where Bijan Robinson is an absolute star in the making. Nasty. I liked him when he was coming out of Texas. He feels like the next Saquon. Saquon has been and still is a face of the NFL. I think Bijan Robinson is the next superstar back. Christian McCaffrey, Saquon Barkley, Derrick Henry, and now it's Bijan Robinson is going to take up right where those guys left off.
And with the game the way it is today, it's really gutsy to pick a running back where they picked Bijan Robinson. After the Saquon pick with the Giants, a lot of people were saying you don't never pick a running back 1, 2, 3, 4 anywhere up in that area anymore because of the way the game is turning. Bijan Robinson's flipping that on his head. And Jahmyr Gibbs the same, right? These guys are getting drafted towards the top of the draft, and they're doing a great job. And that's because these guys are the type of backs that you could do like we're seeing on the screen right now. You could do a million different things with these guys. I'm convinced guys like Bijan, guys like Jahmyr, guys like McCaffrey, if those guys decided they wanted to come out as wideouts, would have been fine playing receiver. You know, and that's the kind of back you can draft at this position now. And yeah, just seeing Bijan come into his own, man, he's a huge security blanket for Penix, right? I think he makes Drake London better. So having him out there is incredible, man. It's good to see him really do his thing. I think he had about $175 or something this week.
Oh yeah, he went off. And that one crazy run that he went for 75 or whatever, and they had the aerial. Did you see the aerial shot from the dome?
Yeah, it was crazy.
That was insane. He is a dynamic weapon as it gets. All right, so if we like what the Falcons did, here's the aerial shot where they get some different looks at it. Bijan's speed, separating speed, just a long touchdown run, breaking tackles, the jump cuts are
coldest
sick.
uniforms ever, by the way.
You do like the old school Falcons uniforms,
and those helmets.
Yeah,
I see Dillon in those things.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Those are pretty tight.
Yeah,
I wish their fan base was a little bit better. They're a little bit front running. I mean, we talked about Miami last week. I played in Atlanta. We weren't very good. They will not show up. But if you're good, they'll show up. They'll get that Dirty Bird resurgence going. On the other side of that game was the losing Buffalo Bills, who have lost 2 games in a row. Their defense, all of a sudden, we're talking about Bijan running all over them. The defense is becoming more of a problem. And the thing that worries me about the Bills, and you saw a little bit of the old Josh Allen starting to crop up in that game where he starts pressing because he feels like he has to make every single play that's out there. He starts forcing the ball. He starts making a little bit more risky throws. He had the interception before halftime. He starts making the flip throw, which I thought he should have turned around. I thought Josh Allen should have on the 4th down when he tried to flip it out there. It was like the I think it was a running back, was like 10 or 15 yards away. And he tried to flip it, and it's too far to pitch the ball. He's got insane arm talent where if you take maybe another step, you can kind of rip one of those sidearms to him and get it to him quickly. I thought that was a little bit of a misjudgment from Josh Allen, but I do worry about some of his bad habits returning now that the defense is starting to struggle.
Yeah, I mean, that's been the issue, right? It's where one guy's trying to do too much, and that, like you said, that was the beginning of his career. Like when he first came out, people weren't sure what they had in him, and it's because he did things like this. The defense, I would imagine, I mean, they got to figure it out. Their head coach is a defensive guy. He's been there forever. I think Josh Allen, I've seen too many good things from him over the last couple of years to think that this lasts. I'll tell you what, watching Diggs get busy on the Bills a couple of weeks ago makes me think, I'm sure he wishes he was still here, having that complement of receivers. But I don't know. I think I'm sold on Josh Allen. We'll see how they get. And look, let's be real. They're playing, this sucks too. It's like a little sidebar, but I thought we finally might have gotten rid of the Patriots in the AFC East.
Oh, they're back.
Then here comes Drake May, right? You thought it was the Bills' division to win, no question. You see the friggin' Jets doing what the Jets do. You see the Dolphins down here doing what they're doing.
Yeah.
And you thought it would be the Bills to run away with, and here comes Drake May and the Patriots. But yeah, the Bills got to figure it out.
How do you think you feel if you're a Tennessee Titans fan who you had Mike Vrabel there? In the playoffs, several times. Yeah. You're knocking on the door. You're a pretty consistent winner. You send him packing. He takes a year off. He comes back. You go in the direction of Brian Callahan, who's already been fired after a year and a half. And you watch what Vrabel has done, instantly turning around the New England Patriots. You've got to be thinking, we have the most inept ownership and front office maybe in the entire NFL. There's a lot of, and what's crazy is there's a lot of dysfunctional teams right now. There's some really bad football teams, but also badly run franchises. Tennessee is one of them. Miami's one of them. The Jets are one of them. And a lot of it is because their ownership doesn't know how to run a football franchise. And it's embarrassing. And they risk for losing their fans. Because, I mean, seriously, a Titans fan has got to be looking at this just sick to their stomach. How did we fire that coach who everybody, as soon as he was fired, all the organizations were like, oh, he's going to be the top candidate out there. Because they knew what Vrabel brought to an organization.
Yeah, and if there was, I mean, I've learned a lot at VT since I've started. One thing I learned is if you own a business, guys, you got to learn to delegate, right? If you're not a football guy, don't try to be a football guy. And that's what always happens with these things. You see the Titans coach is gone, and you talked about the ineptitude in the front office. This guy, they brought Borgonzi in, right, over the offseason. The guy who hired Callahan was a guy named Rand Carthen. They ran him out of town, and they kept the head coach there, right? They had a shot to clean break from him at the end, and then they draft the quarterback. They give him 6 weeks with Cam Ward. I thought he'd get more time than that. My thought process on that is, I guess, rip the Band-Aid off. Let's not expose Cam Ward to the craziness, and we'll just start fresh by now.
So they had a press conference the other day to announce the firing of Brian Callahan and to go in a different direction. And it was the new GM and another executive sitting up there, and they said, "Where is Amy?" And they were referring to the owner, Amy Adams Strunk, who is the daughter of Bud Adams, who is the owner. And they answer, they said, "Well, she's at home." Like it was like. Where do you think she'd be? I don't know. And it was such a bad look for the Titans just to be like the owner's at home. He didn't even say like she's working on this or she's paying attention. She's like, she's probably at home.
Yeah.
Like just doing what? Except running this franchise into the ground. Yeah. And a lot of ownership is about delegating, hiring the right people, putting them in the right position to succeed. But it has been just one dysfunctional mess in Tennessee.
And you know what that reminds me of? When a couple weeks ago we saw Jim Irsay, he God rest his soul, he passed, and you see his daughter who's now
dialed in.
She's in the headset, she's right on the field with a notebook. And look, not to say that the Irsays were the most stable, right? But I mean, look, that's
at
a
least
great
she's
look.
Putting in the work.
There.
Yeah, she's on the ground, boots on the ground,
100%.
invested, and I do think that matters for a franchise.
Totally.
I think for the players to see owners that care and that want to see your team succeed. There she is with a headset on. She's listening to the play calls. She's got her play sheet. She's paying attention. And I think that matters. When I was on the New York Giants, Wellington Mara, who God rest his soul, one of the most classiest owners in the history of the NFL, he would come to practice. Now, you don't want a hyper over-involved owner either, but he would walk. He would do like a little exercise. He would walk around the outskirts of our fields, which were 3 practice fields put together, and he would kind of watch practice from the outside, and he'd come out there and he'd wave to him. He's like, "Hey, Danny, how you doing?" Like, just a real quick wave. I'm here. I'm paying attention. I'm watching. I'm rooting for you. Yep. And it matters what your ownership, the investment they have emotionally, like mentally, how invested are they in your team? It matters. And I think that's one of the reasons the Titans are falling apart.
Yeah, we see that. I'm telling you, I see that in this building. When I see the right people walk through, you see the way people sit up in their chairs and make sure they're locked into their desks.
Definitely.
You don't got to peek your head into everybody and start screaming, but just the thought in the back of my mind that this person could be here or this person could be there. Maybe we don't leave at 5:59.
Right.
Maybe we stick around a little later. You know what I'm saying? So that's something we're all very much aware of. And yeah, it totally works in life and in sport for sure.
So another organization, we popped up the graphic there, 0-6 Jets. Aaron Glenn, who I played against, I used to do some, charity stuff. I'd see him around New York when I was on the Giants. He was on the Jets.
Awesome player, by the way.
Awesome player. I thought he was a really good hire. I thought he had, been under Dan Campbell. He's a defensive mind. I liked the things that he was saying early. And then all of a sudden, they're 0-6. They go over, they play in London, and there's a clock mismanagement situation at the end of the first half in the game where they go for it on fourth down. It's fake punt. And then all of a sudden, they start running plays and don't look like they're in any hurry to score, and they just take it into halftime. And it's like, what are you thinking? And Kurt Warner was on the call, the NFL Network guys, and they're kind of calling him out, saying, where is this plan? The one thing I will say, and how I think Aaron Glenn might survive this, is he does take ownership. He was asked about that, and he said, yes, looking back, I would have liked to have taken a Hail Mary shot there. I didn't love it, but it does look like you're unprepared. And every team has a clock management person who's on the staff, who should be in the coach's ear, explaining them what's at stake, analytics. Like, hey, how much time? If we go for the punt, if we go for it on fourth down, here's where we're going to be, here's how much time we're going to have left. If we punt it away, what are our odds of them scoring against us? Like, you have to have that information at your fingertips so you're prepared to talk to the media and say, this is exactly what we were thinking. I do think it helps that he took ownership, but I'm starting to worry about Aaron Glenn because New York is a very unforgiving market.
Yeah, it's been something, though, every week with Aaron Glenn. And like you said, he was banging heads this weekend on the field with young star Garrett Wilson. Like, Garrett Wilson is there right now. They just signed this kid to a big deal. And, guys, I'll take you back for a second. As a Jets fan, this one hits home to me. This started in the summer when Aaron Rodgers was your quarterback, and he wanted to come to town, see what was going on, see if there was a fit here for me in the future. And Aaron Glenn's first order of business was to take a guy, Mount Rushmore-level quarterback. He flies himself across the country on his own dime, and he says in 10 minutes, Aaron Glenn stepped out of the room, they came back in, and they were like, we're going another direction. Then his first order of business was to bring in Justin Fields, pay him $40 million, and Justin Fields is coming off a -10 net passing yard game. I mean, that's almost, you have to make an effort to go -10, right? It's crazy. So, that style of coaching, you said he came in, he said all the right things, and yeah, that plays fine in the opening presser, but when you're 0-6, you better change the way you speak because nobody wants to hear your tough talk when you're 0-6 and your own players are yelling at you, and every week it's something different. Accountability is great, but I don't care what you do 2 hours after the game ends. I need you to be able to make these right decisions when the bullets are flying,
Agreed. 0-6. We'll see how it goes for the Jets. If they don't get a few dubs, though, I do think Aaron Glenn could be in trouble. It is like I said, New York market is very unforgiving. We've already seen another coach fired after a year and a half. And so here's what I worry about for whatever direction the Jets go at quarterback, because I don't think Justin Fields is the answer.
Right.
And we were just talking about the Tennessee Titans. So they draft Cam Ward with the #1 overall pick, and then they fire his coach 6 games into the season. That sets Cam Ward back. And Cam Ward has already been struggling. So any sort of progress that he got is done. So now his rookie season is a wash.
Yeah.
So he's going to be starting over next year. Same thing happened with Caleb Williams. His coach is fired. Right. Now, that's working out okay, but you kind of wasted a year with Caleb Williams. Ben Johnson comes in, and it's been good so far. Bryce Young, his coach was fired after a year. Trevor Lawrence had a fired coach in Urban Meyer.
Right.
Why aren't these organizations paying attention to at least trying to sync up a coach with a quarterback that you let them grow together where they can have some time so you don't set back your franchise quarterback? And that's what worries me for Aaron Glenn, is that if they decide to go in the direction of a quarterback out of this draft class, do they try to find a coach to pair with him? Or at the very least, they better give Aaron Glenn more of an opportunity with a young quarterback. Say, all right, Justin Fields wasn't it. Let's give you a guy, but we're going to give you some leeway to make sure this thing works.
Yeah, and I think if I'm Woody Johnson, who's the Jets' horrible owner, I'm looking at how Aaron Glenn reacts and responds, and I got to see if he's going to be cool because I got to know that that's the temperament that I could have around a young quarterback, right? It's great to have a fiery guy like Dan Campbell or blah, 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 but Dan Campbell isn't doing it with how would that, how does that temperament work with a rookie quarterback? I need to know that my head coach can keep his cool and be calm when things are crazy. And like you said, bringing in that rookie quarterback, that's vital. So,
yeah,
I mean, we've seen, like you said, it's so important that they do have that stability. That's the Daniel Jones thing I talk about,
yes.
right? Daniel Jones went through 100 different coordinators, a bunch of different head coaches, a bunch of different receivers, and you're just setting a guy up to be miserable and fail that way. And yeah, like you said, what I think Aaron Glenn could probably, where it might work for him is we do see, though, that when they do pair a coach with a quarterback, it could save them a year or spare me. Like, I actually think that might happen in the other side of New York with Coach Daboll now.
Right.
Like, I think 2-1 with Jackson Dart in, if they start to see the right progress and the right chemistry with this young quarterback, perhaps that buys him a year and he can go from there. You hope that with Aaron Glenn, I'm sure he's hoping, like, listen, maybe we start fresh next year. That's got to be his sales pitch, right?
Yes,
I'm going to go
absolutely.
into there like, listen. Yeah.
Yeah. So why do you think Brian Daboll was hugging Jackson Dart like his favorite child? Like, I don't even know if I hug my baby daughter, who's my favorite, I don't even know if I give her that much affection when I hug her on her birthday. I mean, you saw the emotion, and I heard some people, I was actually talking to some buddies of mine, and they were like, did you see him hugging him? Like, just like basically kissing his butt as the rookie quarterback. I'm like, of course he is. That's the quarterback that could save his job. That was the last hope. He better hope that it works.
Right.
So it's not all bad news in New York, because we were talking about the Jets 0-6. All of a sudden, the Giants got 2 big home victories. They did have the road loss to the Saints. But not only is Jackson Dart the toast of the town in New York, Cam Scatterbo is a darling. And I knew the Giants fan base would love that type of player. They love a hard-nosed, gritty player who runs hard every single time he touches the football. And those two together have sparked some enthusiasm. It's reinvigorated the fans at the home game. It's reinvigorated the defense. They're playing harder. And all is great in New York right now.
Right now. Yes, everything's great. Yeah, man, these two
They're
are insane.
dancing together.
I'm telling you, man, these kids are fearless. I love it. They come out every week expecting to win. They're cocky and they're brash. And like I said, they've backed it up so far. You go out there and act like that and you get your head stomped in, like they're doing on the other side. It's a lot tougher. But yeah, these guys have been incredible. Cam Scatterbo goes for 3 touchdowns, 110 yards total. And he's ripping his shirt off and chest bumping Fitzpatrick at the end. I mean, these guys are perfect for New York if you're doing this. He's like cocky and confident. Look at that. That's the Booker T.
Yeah.
I think that's the Booker T right there. Yeah, they love Jackson Dart out there, man. I'm telling you, you're going to see those jerseys all over for a long time.
Everybody loves a winner.
Yeah, that's it.
A couple words of advice for Jackson Dart.
Okay.
The league will humble you quickly.
Right.
I think other players are paying attention as well, including the Denver Broncos, who they play this week. I would probably be a little bit more mild. Now, Cam Scatterbo as a running back is just a meathead.
Yeah.
He can do whatever he wants. But as the quarterback,
the best.
And Jackson Dart already, the other piece of advice I would have, so I'd be a little bit more humble. The other piece of advice is protect yourself. He is running
like a crazy man.
But he's running way too much like this is college. Like I've just got freedom. I can run around. Somebody is going to knock his head off. And he almost did, which is why he was in the medical tent in the game. But he's got to protect himself. And I know, I think we talked about this. I said the best way to win over a fan base is to get, to show them you're willing to put your body on the line, but you also want to be able to survive to the next play.
Yeah, and I mean, he was initiating contact. Like you saw that one where he was like a lawn dart. He put his hands to his side and he like dove forward. Yeah, that's dangerous. He said a couple of weeks ago he gave a lot of love to Russell Wilson, who's his backup. And if you remember, Russell, his first couple of years in the league was real mobile.
Yep.
But you remember guys like RG3 and Cam, their careers are cut short because every week you remember seeing them get smoked. That's one thing that Russell did great. So you think Russell, maybe that is something he could teach Jackson Dart. He's a professional, man. I think he's probably talking to Dart a lot. Russell Wilson, as much as he used to run, I never recall him getting crushed. Right? Like, I feel like he did a really good job of taking hits, and that is an art, man. Being able to roll with a hit, get down when you're supposed to get down. That's something that he's done a fantastic job of. To your other point about being, like, humbled quickly, I love, when he's in the locker room, though, he seems like a completely different guy. Like,
Correct.
I saw him talk in front of the group, and he does. He seems gracious and thankful and a leader, and that's great. I did want to ask you a question, okay? So we see a kid like Jackson Dart, who comes from Ole Miss, and he's in his first game action under the brightest lights in New York. And we see a kid like Caleb Williams now, who's 2 years in, and he's still trying to figure it out. What is the thing that makes one kid be able to just transition so seamlessly while another guy takes some time? Because both of them, I feel like Caleb probably came into a better situation last year, right? DJ Moore, it was Keenan Allen, it was a good tight end, a good running back. What is it like that makes Jackson Dart able to make that transition so easily where Caleb Williams is kind of floundering a little bit?
So I'm not signing off yet on Jackson Dart has figured it out.
Okay.
So I would say it's only been 3 games. I would say let's see how it goes. Because even Caleb Williams, his rookie year, he came in and showed some flashes. And that's the good thing. That's why I think it was way too early. If people were saying, oh, Caleb Williams is a bust, that is expected. I think you've seen exactly what you wanted to see from Jackson Dart. Right. Now you've got to go continue to do it. Because remember, he did win these 2 games, but on the road, he did have 2 costly interceptions in the second half against New Orleans. So now you've got to start eliminating some of those rookie mistakes. And by the way, they're going to Denver. Denver is maybe the best defense in the NFL. They have 30 sacks on the season. That's 20. Right. That's 10 more than the next best team. They are getting after the quarterback. So to say that Jackson Dart has figured it out, I think is a little bit too premature.
Okay.
And a lot of what he is doing is just, it's a little bit of like playground football. Like just things break down, that rush that he had when just everything opened up and he ran into, I think it was the 3rd down, he ran in the end zone. That was too easy. That doesn't happen. So that's not sustainable.
Right.
I want to see him get a little bit more comfortable reading defenses out, getting to his progressions where he can't just make plays off the cuff. Because the most impressive plays I've seen from Jackson Dart so far have been improvisation plays, which is good. Yeah. You want to be able to do that. Even this play right here, this is one of his touchdown runs. That is him. Things break down. He makes the most of it. I don't think that's sustainable for him over time.
But and I think you're obviously the quarterback. I just know as I watch it and I play some receiver, but I think the fact that, and he's doing it against good teams, the teams he's been composed around, because I
don't think Philly's a good team.
You don't think Philly with that front? I mean, that defense.
I don't think their defense is as good as it was last year.
Okay, well that's fair. Well, they're 5. Well, they're going to get another crack at Jackson Dart. I think in week 8, right?
I think it's coming up soon in a couple
and
weeks.
With Jalen Carter back.
Yes,
so we'll see.
That was a huge loss that they had. Speaking of the Eagles, we talked a little bit about this.
Yep.
The tush push.
Oh.
They ran it 4 times in a row. This has to be all right, if you're going to make a rule, because I get it, hey, it's a football, you got to stop them. I think there should be a rule of how many times you can run a tush push consecutively. And let's max it out at, say, 2. And if you wanted to go 1, I'd be totally fine with this. But the play is ruining our sport. This was about 5 minutes of airtime on television just watching this slop. We're not watching rugby. This is supposed to be football where half the time they're offsides, but the officials can't see it because it's so uptight. I mean, that right there, the right guard is starting early. Right. That is a false start, but they don't call it because they can't see it, and they're so good at timing it up, anticipating that you can't see it. To me, it is ruining the sport that I love to watch.
Well, if that's the case, then I think this should be the best thing that ever happened to you, because this is what other teams are going to show the league at the end of the year.
Was trying to do it. He was adamant. He was trying to scream at the officials, but they didn't call it.
But what I'm saying is, it was terrible for viewership. Everybody was complaining about it, and people feel like you feel. So I think the best thing that ever happened is you suffered through 5 minutes of brutal football.
Yes.
And after this, they're going to bring this to Commissioner Goodell and be like, guys, we can't be doing this every day, right? And they were close to overturning it, I think, last year. Now it'll be 2 years in a row, I think that's probably going to be maybe a catalyst to making some sort of change. I want to talk just about quickly.
Yep.
Yeah, I know you have some thoughts about Jalen Hurts.
Yes.
Yeah, let's talk about him.
When he won the Super Bowl last year, everybody wanted to rank him. Where does he rank as far as NFL quarterbacks? And they wanted to put him at the top tier of quarterbacks. I'd say top 5.
Okay.
And all I said was, let's slow down a little bit, because I think what Jalen Hurts brings to the game, and this is not a criticism, it should be a compliment, is he is a really good game manager.
Yeah.
I don't think he's an elite level passer of the football. And I think he's a quarterback that clearly you can win a Super Bowl with. I don't know if he's going to be the difference maker that you win the Super Bowl because of. Even though he's had 2 great performances in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, for sure.
For an entire season, and when you take away the run game, when all of a sudden you don't have an offensive line that's quite as good as it's been historically, I don't think Jalen Hurts is the type of quarterback that's going to say, all right, I'll put you on my back. Now, granted, I only think there's 4 or 5 of those in the entire NFL.
Right, same.
So I would put Jalen Hurts in that next category. Now, the best compliment I can pay him is he's a winner.
Yeah.
And I love that. He has all the intangibles you look for. I still don't think he's an elite thrower of the football, and people think that's a knock and it's criticism because clearly you can win with him. I just wouldn't put him in the same category as Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, those types of quarterbacks.
Well, that goes back to something that Cam Newton said and got a ton of heat for, where he said Tom Brady was a game manager. Peyton Manning was a game manager.
The best
but
ever.
What really makes a game manager a bad thing, right? I think if you ask me about, like, let me ask you this right out of the gate. Was Brett Favre an elite thrower of the football?
Yes.
Elite thrower of the football, right?
Yes.
But so prone to making a mistake at the wrong time that I'd almost think, because to me, a quarterback, I think that is something that makes you elite, is the ability to avoid the big mistake at the wrong time, right? There's a lot of guys who can make a great play every once in a while, but they also make the wrong. I mean, Jameis Winston, 1,000,000 touchdowns, 1,000,000 picks. Nobody thinks he's good enough to play right now.
Right.
Right. And a guy like Jalen Hurts, I just think they're veering off the game plan. What got the Eagles to where they were last year was Saquon Barkley.
Right.
He's got 6 carries in 2 weeks ago. They've lost 2 in a row. 6 carries and 12 carries.
Yes.
I don't know what's pulling them off that game plan, but get Saquon Barkley involved. Ask Jalen Hurts to do, like you said, 3 or 4 big plays a game. That's all I need from you. Just don't make a big mistake for me, and we'll carry Saquon to the Super Bowl, and he'll make a big play. He's proven that he can do that. So I actually think that is elite. Like at the end of last year, I thought I had Jalen Hurts around 5.
Right.
I don't know where I think he is now, but I think that's part of an elite quarterback to not make a mistake.
Would you rather have Justin Herbert or, because we could go down the list of guys that I think are more talented, right?
More talented, definitely. Right. But I've seen Justin Herbert on his own throw playoff games.
Right.
It looks like maybe he's turned a corner. But at the end of the day, I care about Super Bowls, man.
Right.
You know what I mean? Let me ask you this. If at the end of their careers, you were Cam Newton or Eli Manning, who would you rather be? MVP? Eli Manning.
Yeah, give me Super Bowls.
He's not talented like Cam's talented.
No, not even close.
That's what I'm saying. So,
I think Cam Newton was one of the more wasted talents at quarterback that we've seen in the history of the game. And a lot of it's on Cam Newton, because I don't think Cam ever took the position seriously enough to where he really wanted to hone his craft to be great. Because I think Cam could have been LeBron James of the NFL had he really taken ownership of the quarterback position from a mental aspect, putting in the work, the film study, and working on his mechanics. Because he really never evolved as a quarterback. He was just so physically impressive and such a specimen. He could run over guys, and he could do the Superman, and he could make some of the throws, but I never thought he was somebody who had a true mastery of the game the way you would expect from somebody in year 9, 10, 11 of your NFL career.
Well, obviously, now you're the quarterback guru, and I'm not. I hate to drop a name, but I got to spend a lot of time with Cam at IMG Academies. We trained for a year together. And then I went to Carolina, spent a whole off season there because of Cam. I would train with him a bunch of days a week. If you hadn't seen this guy in the building, he put the work in. He absolutely put the work in. This is what I would say. So what I would say is, you need a coach who will sit down and teach you how to be a passer. They didn't utilize Cam as a passer. Remember he had Smitty, right? Steve got hurt, and then if I name his receivers, I hate to do it because they're like people I know and care about, but it's like they're names that you would never imagine that he could bring to the NFC Championship game and the Super Bowl, and he did it. And then I just think the way he played, a lot of these guys, let me ask you, what do you think? Guys can keep getting better at the quarterback position until what age?
I think you should always be evolving as a quarterback because defenses are always adjusting.
So Cam's body was battered by like 29 or 30.
Right.
So he was out of the league by 32.
But see, that's where I think he could have evolved as far as his knowledge of the game and more of the mental aspect of really knowing next level mastery, doctorate level quarterback play, the way that a guy like a Joe Flacco does, who plays to at least 40, and the way that Aaron Rodgers does, who still, and the way that Tom Brady and Peyton Manning and Drew Brees did, the greats. Because I do think Cam was physically gifted enough to, even when his body fell apart, his arm talent should have been enough to where he could have played just from the pocket. But the fact that he didn't take that next level as far as the mastery of the insights of the X's and O's, I think that's what held him back.
And I think a big part of why Cam, I think he just got a bad stigma attached to him by the time he was 30. Like, you couldn't tell me at 32 that Cam couldn't have been a 2 or a 3 anywhere. And that could probably lead us into something I want to ask you about, is the kind of stigma that gets attached to these guys. Like Cam Newton, I mean, I don't know, the crazy hair, the hats,
Right.
the
All
wild
of it.
scarves.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot. And a lot of
Yeah.
coaches do not want to have to deal with that.
Right.
And I mean, some teammates don't want to deal with that either. You come in with a team, you've got everybody around you. I think that can be a distraction. And I thought the Patriots was the worst fit possible for him just because of what that organization was all about. But it is a lot. He's a big personality.
Yeah.
And for him to say, all right, I'm going to be a backup, whether you like it or not, the fact is the starting quarterback probably doesn't love it. That you have a former MVP that's got a huge personality and a big charismatic, following. They probably don't love that. So it's a really tricky spot for him to be in.
100%. I figured with the Patriots, it was going to go one of two ways. He was either going to conform and really start to hone in, lock in, shave the head, get back to your old ways and do your thing. It didn't work for him. It didn't work for Chad Ochocinco up there. I thought he was another one who could have gone both ways. Let me ask you this. This is a decent segue, right? So we're talking about that and what the starting quarterback thinks when the backup quarterback's getting a ton of shine. Can we just spend 30 seconds or a minute on Cleveland?
Yeah,
and how
for
Dillon
sure.
Gabriel's game went and what you think now, the reaction with Shedeur. I know a lot of people were touching on some of this stuff we put up.
Yep.
Talking about, like, guys, did that age well? Da-da-da-da-da. But
I still think it aged fine. The Browns are not a very good football team, and Dillon Gabriel was taking a ton of sacks. I don't think it would have been any differently with Shedeur out there.
Okay.
Here's the thing, though. I do think Shedeur is going to get his shot.
Yeah.
I just think he has to keep it patient. He has to play the role of good teammate, support Dillon Gabriel.
Yeah.
Say, you know what? Hey, I'm going to help you on the sidelines. I'm going to help you see whatever you can. I'm going to do whatever I can to help you do your job. And ultimately, because their team isn't very good, and because Dillon Gabriel probably is not going to have much more chances for success, they're going to go, you know what? Let's roll Shedeur out there. Let's give him the opportunity. I don't think all of this was on the quarterback. I don't think it was on Flacco, but I think that's what coaches do. When it's not working, they make changes and they try another guy out. So ultimately, I think Shedeur will get his chance, but I think Dillon Gabriel will play adequately when there's good protection around him. I just don't think they're a very good football team.
that has to be such a hard situation right now for everybody, right? Dillon Gabriel, mind you.
He hasn't done anything.
But he was probably graded 3rd round, 4th round, and he went 3rd round, 4th round, right? Shedeur Sanders, he's got to be thinking in his head, like, I'm a better player than this kid, right? Because by all accounts, Shedeur Sanders was a 1st-round talent, late 1st-round talent, maybe 2nd-round talent. But Shedeur Sanders, and I think that comes with being a great athlete. You have to have that confidence and belief. He's probably there. It's probably very difficult for him. So it's going to be, you know what? I think this is an opportunity for Shedeur, right? Go in there, show that you're the mature professional.
Yes.
Be that guy. Because for you to be able to humble yourself and say, I came into this thing, I was a better quarterback than this kid. I should have been drafted higher than him. Now's my chance to show that now I have that maturity too, and I think that goes a long way. Dillon Gabriel is not, it's tough for him because he's not getting that little buffer that it would normally a 3rd-round pick would get before you start, jumping down his neck.
He had one good game, and that was all he got. Now it's all of a sudden people
Yeah.
want to see Shedeur. The fan base wants to see Shedeur. Shedeur, you know what he needs to do? He needs to be a pro.
That's
because every pro has to wait their turn, and whether you like it or not, you have to make it impossible for the team to keep you on the bench. And the way to do that is kind of what Rex Ryan was yelling at him about. Sit in the front row, go to film study, stay out after practice afterwards. Like, make it impossible for them to keep you on the bench. Instead, he's making it easier by goofing around with the media, by having, fun comments out there and still kind of, being more of a distraction than a good teammate. That's, unfortunately, it's a hard lesson to learn, because I agree with you. On every team that you be on, like you're on, you should probably feel like you're better than the person you're in front of you. And if you're not, you want to try to get better than them so you can see the field. Like, that's the way I always felt when I was playing.
But I get in some instances, though, you realistically know you're not better than the guy in front of you. Like, I knew it. I was in Carolina.
Later in my career,
I wasn't better than the guys in front of me. But a guy like Shedeur, he physically wise, you would imagine he probably feels like he could be. And coming into the draft, I think they think he could be. Now, the rumor was that that's what I'm saying about opportunity for a guy like Shedeur, right? Take this as an opportunity, man. The rumor is they didn't even want to draft him, right? Because of his immaturity. Dude, there's never a better opportunity than right now to show you had me wrong, right? The Shedeur Sanders that showed up during the draft that dropped, and every day they would talk to him, that didn't turtle up and not talk to the media. That Shedeur Sanders needs to come out right now and say, listen, I'm here for the kid. I'm here for the kid. He's the same age. I'm here for Dillon Gabriel. Any support I can lend him. And when my number is called, like, I'm sure that would go a long way with the coaching staff too,
Yep.
So,
all right. I do want to transition
okay,
and get some baseball in here.
Let's do it.
Because we are in the middle of Major League Baseball playoffs. And I guess first I want to talk about the disappointment. because it's been a minute now. The Yankees have been eliminated by the Toronto Blue Jays. They had an opportunity. At least they saved one more game. They didn't get swept, but they only lasted through 4 games. What's your level of disappointment in this roster, in this team, with the type of year that Aaron Judge did?
Yeah.
Is this a level 10 type of, oh my gosh, they got to fire Boone? Somebody's got to go? Or is this a level 5 where, you tip your cap to the other team?
No, I've been on level 10 for the Yankees now for so many years, but I'm going to tell you why. It's because the Yankees set the bar so insanely high. Now, the problem with Aaron Boone is, and he just finished his 10th year. No New York Yankees manager, he finished his 8th year. No Yankees manager has ever gotten to a second contract without a World Series. And after 6, Aaron Boone was signed to a second contract. It's just the same thing year in, year out. It's like, I know I used to play baseball, right? I was a decent baseball player. You played some baseball. It's the things he does, he's supposed to be a baseball lifer, right? Came up the Boone family, right? His dad was a coach. Him and his brother were both players, right? I think baseball and those 90s Yankees, so much of that came from Coach Torre and his gut, right? These guys were gut-feeling players. That's a huge part of baseball. And this guy's they call him Binder Boone, right? Because everything he does, he goes to the binder, and numerically, it's like he's putting the wrong guys in at the wrong time just because this says so. He's changing his lineup up. Guys will hit 2 home runs and sit the next day. Stuff like that is what just drives me absolutely nuts. You got to have there's something to analytics, I think probably more with pitching than hitting, but you got to have some sort of feel out there. And now the Yankees are going on 16 years without, since 2009, 16 years without a World Series, which in Yankee land is just an eternity, right? They've had an open checkbook for as long as I can remember. They're always $300 million plus, so they have as high a payroll as anybody in the league. You've got Aaron Judge, who's literally, this guy's putting up numbers we've never seen before. He hit 500 in the playoffs. His OPS is 1,300. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen. And they're just being wasted. And he risks going down as one of those Yankees who doesn't have any hardware at the end of it. Man, he's 34 years old going into next year. You don't have players like this often, So, something's got to change, and something's got to change quick before,
So they call him Binder Boone. How much of that is his choice? Or is it coming from the front office?
That's probably coming from the front office.
So that's what always has bothered me, is that I do feel like too many baseball teams are run by the general managers ahead of them, and the actual managers in the dugouts are just kind of intermediary, who are just kind of going back and forth. And I wish managers, to your point, would be given more feel. They're the ones that are actually able to go out and talk to a player and ask him how he's seeing it. Hey, how are you feeling at the plate? If you're 0 for 3, hey, I'm close, man. I just barely missed this fastball. I was right on it. I think I'm getting there. A pitcher, how are you feeling at this point? Not up 100 pitches, got to get you out because we've hit our pitch count. That drives me insane.
Right.
A pitcher might be dealing like you saw the other night, but you go up 100 pitches, got to get to our bullpen, start working our game plan. I despise that. I think it's horrible for the game of baseball, and I think it handcuffs a lot of the emotion and natural talent from the game and just turns them into robots out there.
And the problem is, though, that they give us Boone is the one they dangle in front of fans every night at the podium. So he's the one we're
He's
pissed at.
Be a spokesman
and
for
the
it.
other guys, Cashman and Hal Steinbrenner, just sit up in their gated offices, and no one can get anywhere near them. Yeah, it's a huge problem, man. I think that's something I have to know. Like I said, that's who they send in. That's the chum in the water. That's the one we have right now. But I guess it is a matter of how deep do you think that gets? Do you think that it gets all the way down to they're sitting together creating the lineup every day? Because Aaron Boone will literally sit a guy who's when I was coming up, it was like the Yankees' first 6 hitters, and everything is Yankees for me because that's where I grew up. But I think most teams, right? It was the first 6 hitters for 5 years were the same. It was Jeter, it was Knobloch, it was Robbie Cano, it was Bernie Williams, it was Paul O'Neill, it was some form or fashion, Tino Martinez, and I knew those guys were going to be in those 6 spots every day. How do you think coming to the ballpark when you're hitting first one day, and then you're hitting ninth one day, and then you're out because of lefties pitching, and then how do you get any continuity? Athletes are creatures of habit, right? We build these repetitive these routines, and once we're in it, it's good. This is what we need. But
that's why I think that Aaron Boone is more of the manage everybody's emotions. Yes, a puppet, yes, man, to cash. And that's where they come down with the lineup. And I don't know if he pushes much back at all. I think that was a big issue with Joe Girardi when he was at the Yankees, that he did push back on some of it because he was more of an old school player, a catcher who liked that aspect. Sure, use the analytics, but don't handcuff me with being able to make some gut calls because I know these guys' personalities and when they're about to deliver or when they should keep playing them because they're hot. I hate what it's done to the game of baseball.
Yeah, and there is so much to that being able to feel the guy who can dig down deep and get you that out. There's this famous clip. I don't know if the guys can pull it up in the back. Mike Mussina's on the mound for the Yankees, and he's late in the game, 9th inning, 2 outs, and Joe Torre tries to come out to the mound, and you could see him point at him. Hey, you get back in the dugout. And Joe Torre says, all right, cool.
Exactly.
Joe Torre's 4 World Series in at that point. Right. He's won 4 out of 5 World Series, and he says, hey, that's my guy. I trust him. I know he's going to do the job, and Mussina digs deep, and he gets it. And you win favor with your players when that happens, too, to know that they can trust you. Like, this might be it. Is that it? Where he tell Mussina sends Torre back to the dugout or something. But it was incredible. It was 2 outs in the bottom of the 9th. And he's like, let me finish this job.
And historically, that type of stuff used to happen all the time. Look at the pitch counts from pitchers. They used to go way over 100 pitches,
that's the one.
And they were fine.
So this is it.
Yeah,
so Joe Torre's
coming out.
Okay, my bad.
Yeah, and Moose says, nope.
They'll show it from a different angle where he points at him. You stay in there. Look, Joe, stay there.
And that is a Hall of Fame manager.
Right, and a Hall of Fame pitcher.
Right.
Yeah, 300 wins, right?
Both of them.
Yeah, and it's...
Yep. And you saw Torre say, okay, all right, you want it? You got it. Yeah. And then I guarantee you, if he wouldn't have got him out, he probably would have had words with him. Right. But you trust your player. And he did.
And that's a manager who's got 4 rings at the time saying, all right, bro, that's how I got here. You know what? I'm going to trust in him and let him do his job. And he did it. And,
ultimately, does anybody beat the Dodgers?
Oh, my God. Dodgers are a wagon, man.
They really are.
They look incredible.
Yeah.
They look incredible. I hate it. Yeah, they go up 2-0 on the Brewers last night. Did you see Yamamoto?
Yeah.
Complete game. Oh, he's so nasty.
Just dealing. They look filthy. It's all the best roster that money can buy, which I hate as well. Yeah. Because I do like some of these smaller market teams coming up, playing a little bit of, drafting, building up through their franchise.
Yeah.
I'd love to see Seattle mount a little run here, but I think it's just too much firepower.
Can I ask you a question about the Dodgers while we can?
Yeah.
I got to ask you this, and I know how incredible Shohei Ohtani is, right? Unbelievable. Probably, he's obviously first ballot, one of the greatest players we've ever seen, doing things on the mound and in the batter's box we've never seen. Shohei Ohtani is a 193 career hitter in the postseason in his career. He's won for his last 23 with 11 Ks. At what point do we start? Why is it? I'm just asking honestly.
So is he the Clayton Kershaw of fielding positions? Because Clayton was always incredible in the regular season, and then he was awful in the postseason.
What I'm getting at is, why did Aaron Judge get absolutely lambasted for not being able to hit in the playoffs? Shohei Ohtani has 1 pitching win in the playoffs in his career. So it's not like he's been some stellar ace pitching, but he's a 193 hitter in the playoffs, 1 for 23 right now. He won a World Series last year, but what is different?
Ding, ding, ding. He won a World Series. No, I know.
Yeah.
He didn't, but the fact that your franchise wins changes the narrative for everything.
Right.
Like, it really does. It gives you such a free pass on any type of criticism. Like, it doesn't matter if you didn't come up clutch because maybe somebody else did on your team, so you don't catch as much heat. It just goes overlooked. Winning masks so many issues, and that's what happens when you lose.
I know we are all over the place. I apologize to the guys in the back, but that's the Baker Mayfield thing we were talking about today too, right?
Yes.
Baker Mayfield over the first couple of years was a punk. They would say Baker's got a great quote. I don't know if it's too late to run that in or kind of find a way to weave that in. But like you just said, man, winning cures everything.
Here's Baker. Here's Baker. Because early in his career, he had a totally different reputation than he does now. Here's a Baker talking about it.
Is there something where you kind of realize maybe your younger years, I don't know if you were as accepted for doing some of that stuff, and now it does seem like it's a little bit more embraced. You know, people gravitate to it a little bit more. The narrative changes around that. Do you notice that?
Yeah, I mean, I told you guys I try and not get too high, not get too low, which is something that I was not doing early on in my career. But, early on in my career, it's looked as cocky, immature. Now it's moxie, he's a dog. So it's same, different day. Just as long as you play well, they change the narrative. But you just got to be yourself, and I've always been like that.
That is great, and it is so true. Now, I do think he still plays the same way on the field, and he talks a lot of trash, and he talks a lot of smack. But I do think America loves somebody who has been humbled and has had quite the comeback like Baker Mayfield has, because his career was cast aside after he left Cleveland. And he even said, I've tried to keep it more even keel and not get so up and so down. But he's right. And I think that goes for anything. If you want to talk trash and do all that on the field, as long as you back it up with your play, no one really will have a problem with it. But when you start losing, when you start throwing interceptions and your career starts derailing, then you're a punk, you're a distraction, and you're just, a brash, cocky idiot. But winning cures everything.
And I don't think there's any coincidence that a lot of the stuff off the field for him sort of settled in and tightened up, and a lot of the stuff for him on the field settled in and tightened up. Because if you remember at Oklahoma, I think there's a video of him drunk running naked.
Oh, yeah.
So he wasn't just a maniac on the field. He was a maniac off the field.
Yep.
Now, found some faith, right? You saw this beautiful clip of him with his daughter before the game. I don't know if you guys saw that. His daughter didn't recognize him with the helmet on, so she's standing there staring at him. He pulls his helmet off. She notices him right away, comes running to him. It's the most beautiful thing. Kisses his beautiful wife, and it seems like everything off the field for him settled in, and that's really given him a chance to really excel on the field. So all the things that made him a dog on the field for the entirety of his career, he's using. But now look, now he gets to go home and look. She didn't recognize him, and this beautiful little girl sees him now.
So cute.
Yeah, man.
That is great.
Nothing better than that, right?
And I love his faith story, because he did talk about, he said God had to strip everything away from him for him fully to realize how much he needed God. And then he's gotten his life straightened out. He's got back on track with his faith. And my favorite part of it is that he's still a competitive dog with his faith. And it shows you can be a believer in Jesus and still be a fierce competitor on the football field. It's one of my favorite stories, and why I think he's going to win the MVP.
You know what? That pick looks better every week.
I'm telling you.
And he's become I think maybe my favorite player in football. I love him. There's nothing to not like about him.
So much fun to watch. All right, that's a wrap for us. A full hour of nothing but NFL, a little bit of baseball. We'll promise we'll get some more other topics in next week when we're back. Follow me on socials at Danny Cannell.
Yes, same. Mano Steele. And guys, quick shout. Just want to give you guys, if you notice the uptick and everything, our guys in the back doing a fantastic job.
Phenomenal.
Deli, Malik, Julius, Jake, Dan, all you guys. Appreciate you guys, Terry, more than I could say. Thank you, guys.
Appreciate it. We'll see you next week.